Hello and welcome. My name is Ted Palmer. The video you're about to watch is Diary and Calendaring Functionality in the AutoSubrogate program. Diary and calendaring are two different words for the same thing. The insurance industry calls diary what the rest of us call calendaring. Diary and calendaring functionality can be used very effectively for workload balancing and workflow management. You can easily control the amount of work assigned to each staff member and assign the more difficult tasks to the more experienced staff members on a case-by-case basis. If there's any functionality that you need because it's critical to your law practice and you do not see it in the AutoSubrogate software, please give me a phone call so that we can discuss it. I'm very flexible. The low cost to add that functionality will surprise you. Palmer Infotech, this is Ted. How may I help you? A demo. You'd like to see a demo. And what would the topic of that demo be? Diary functionality in the AutoSubrogate program. I can do that. Let's get started. Okay, we're going to get started on a demo of the diary functionality in the AutoSubrogate program. And I just need to verify a couple of things. Yeah, that's okay. And we're going to get started by obtaining a list of my file records that are open in the AutoSubrogate program. You see in front of you the main application frame for the AutoSubrogate program. And in the title bar of that application frame, there's a string. In the very left-hand side of that title bar, it shows that the program name is AutoSubrogate. And we'll skip the things in the middle, and instead we'll talk about what's at the very end, directly above my mouse pointer, where it shows user:"Ted. Now, that's somewhat important to you, and we'll talk more about that later. But for now, let's bring up a list of my file records that are open and being worked on in the AutoSubrogate program. We're going to do that by pressing Control-M, and we're going to press Tab, and I'm going to enter #, because that's the middle name in our test cases. I'm going to click on Case Style because we want to search on case style, and then I'm going to click the search button. And we get a list. And in our list shows that we have 7 my file numbers that are being worked on, and we want to pick a specific one to demonstrate diary functionality in the AutoSubrogate program. And the one we're going to open is my file number 24073. So let's find that one. 24073 is that one right there. You can see I selected it by clicking on the row header on the left-hand side of the data grid. Now that that row is selected, I'm going to open it by clicking Edit. And the My File record opens. Now you can see it on your screen. And we're not going to talk a whole lot about the My File data entry screen because that's covered in greater detail in another video. But very briefly, the bottom part of the My File screen has a tab object in it, and you can see that there's 12 tabs across. I'm going across those tabs with my mouse pointer right now. There are 12 of those, and then in the next row up, there's just one tab item, and that's the Diary tab. I'm going to click on that. Now, the Diary data grid on the My File screen shows that there are 6 different diary items for this particular file number. And I know that because it says rows:6 here next to my mouse pointer. Let's pick a specific diary item and look at that. Well, before we do that, though, let's talk about some other things first. We can see by looking at this list, if we look at this third column here where it says assigned to, again, my mouse pointer is pointing at that right now, we can see that we have diary items that have been assigned to Joe, Charlotte, Mickey, Joe, and Ted. That's 4 different people, which is consistent with the way things work. People work on the things that they work on, and different people are going to do different things on each file record, depending on what's their specialty. And so we can use the diary functionality to manage workflow and allow different people to contribute different things to the process of handling a particular case file. In this case, there's 4 different people making a contribution to this one. Let's take a look at diary item that says trial notice to insured. That's where my mouse pointer is. That says trial notice to insured, and it's the second from the bottom. We'll click on that to select it, and then we'll click on edit to open that. There is the diary item data entry screen with the attribute value pairs for the diary item data. And we can see by looking at this, I'm going to pull it down just a little bit. We can see by looking at this that in the upper left-hand corner of the diary item attribute screen, the file number that this particular diary item is for file number 24073. So we can compare that in the upper left-hand corner of the My File right here, 24073. That's the one that we wanted, and that's the one that we got. And we can also verify by looking at the style of the My File screen, which is Zippy Zebra versus Anna Prentice. And if we come back here to the diary item, we can see that looking in the title bar of the diary item, it shows that it's Zippy Zebra versus Anna Prentice, and also the My File case style is shown as Zippy Zebra versus Anna Prentice. I'm showing you this so that when you first start using the program, there's going to be some doubt in your mind whether or not you did the right thing. This is one way of verifying that you've done the right thing. You're looking at the right diary item that we seek to do something with. But let's continue looking at the different attribute value pairs represented on this diary item data entry screen. And it shows that the diary item was created on February the 16th at 9:13 a.m. by Ted Palmer. And I'm using my mouse pointer to point these things out. And I hope you're following that, and that's very helpful to you. In the next line down, we can see that we have the due date and the due time. The due date, Ted chose the due date to be May the 21st of 2012. And 5 p.m. is the default time. That can be changed, but generally 5 p.m. is the end of the business day, and so it defaults to 5 p.m. By the end of the day on May the 21st, this diary item should be done. And when it is done, we'll mark it as done by clicking on the Done checkbox. But not here. We'll do it someplace else. Here's an option. If you want to do it here, you can do it here, but I prefer to show you another way to do that. Okay. Discussing the rest of the data attribute value pairs, we show that Ted assigned this diary item to Joe, whose real name is Superman. And he gave it an action code of send the notice of trial letter to the insured. Now, of course, if we have a trial scheduled and the insured has previously been contacted and agreed to testify in order to litigate the case and get a favorable result, or a result that's favorable to the insurance company, which would also obtain for the insured their deductible. We want to send a letter to the insured to remind them to be on time for the trial, and right below the action we have a narrative field that says provide insured instructions on how to find the court. You know, that might be helpful. That might be helpful. Okay. Moving right along, the priority of this particular diary item is medium. We have 3 priorities: high, medium, and low. The next one would be the done checks box. If this diary item was done, that box would be checked, and whatever changes that we make here, we could save them in the database. And I'm going to move this down, and I'm just going to put a date here, 2012-05-07, and my name, and just some little gobbledygook to have something there to look at. This shows the fact that you can make entries in the narrative, and that as you're processing these diary items, it may be that you can't really complete the whole item. It may be there's several steps to the item and you've got half of them done, and there's still something about that particular diary item that's not complete yet, so you don't want to click it as done, but you want to make a record of what has been accomplished so that if somebody else picks this up and looks at it, they know they don't have to start over from the very beginning. They can pick up where you left off. And I'm going to save those changes by clicking on the Save button. Okay. Now, allow me a moment to check my notes so that I can see what the next thing is that we're going to talk about. Okay. Let's talk about this. Going forward, when you use the diary functionality, if you want to mark a particular diary item as being completed, and in order to do that you had to navigate to the My File record, it would require that you go through a navigation sequence from the main menu, and you click on some command buttons, and you enter the file number that you want, and then you click on search and you get the file number and you go to the right tab, etc., etc. There's a lot of tasks that have to be completed in order to close it if you do it that way. And the burden would be so onerous that after a while you'd be asking yourself, there's got to be a better way. Well, there is a better way, and I've created one. So let's go take a look at that. You get to that better way by looking at the main menu. I'm going to pull this down just a little bit, and the main menu here starts with File, Edit, View, and Data. We're going to stop there on Data, and we're going to click it, and we get a drop-down menu, and we're going to come all the way down to the bottom where it says Diary, and then to the right of that comes another sub-menu, and it says My Diary Items. We're going to click on that. Okay, we get a My Diary Items for Ted Palmer. And here's why it is that I showed you at the beginning of the demo that in the title bar of the application it says User Ted. So when I clicked that My Diary Items screen, the program knew that you had logged on as Ted, and it presents you with a list of diary items that have been assigned to you for you to complete. Now, you can see that I don't have any diary items on here to work on. They've all been assigned to somebody else. So, the point of sharing that with you here now is that this software was designed to generally work in a small office. In a small office, everybody pretty much knows what everybody else is doing. And therefore, you can look at each other's list of diary items that need to be completed. And, you know, not being nosy or anything, you might just have to have a way of knowing, well, does so-and-so have this on their list? Are they going to take care of it? You can go look at that. And you can do that by clicking where my mouse pointer is at, and it says Assign to Name. And then there's a combo box here with a down arrow. You click on that down arrow, and it gives you a list of different users. Let's take a look at the diary item list for user Superman. We're going to click on that, and just to be sure that we get the diary items that we want to see, we're going to spread out the range of dates that is part of the selection criteria, and we're going to start by changing the begin date. You can see my mouse pointer is pointing to the begin date. That's another combo box, but we click on that down arrow and we get a little calendar for picking dates. And I'm going to pick May the 1st for the begin date. And then we come down here in the end date. We have to pick an end date. And I'm going to pick May the 31st. So we have the whole month of May, from the 1st to the 31st. We want to look at Superman. And we want to look at the diary items that are not done. These fields down here in the lower left-hand part of the bottom of this screen provide you with selection criteria so you can tell the program what kind of data you want to see in the data grid when we click the refresh button, which my mouse pointer is now pointing at the refresh button. I'm going to click it, and you can see that we got 2 diary items. And it shows that these are my diary items for Superman. We're logged on as Ted, but Ted is looking at Superman's diary items. And let's go take a look at a specific diary item. In fact, let's look at the one that we just worked on by navigating to it on the My File screen. I have multiple windows open here to emphasize the fact that the AutoSubrogate program makes it easy for you to handle interrupts. In other words, when somebody calls you on the phone and they want to look at a particular file, you don't have to just drop what you're doing like a hot potato and close all those windows out and move on to the next thing. You can leave those windows open, and then when you're done and you want to go back to where you left off, you can click this from the main menu. You can click on this window choice, and it will show you what windows that you have open and what the contents of the title bars are so that you can identify those windows that you want to go to. So we want to go to Edit My Diary Items, and that's what this screen is here. This is actually, yeah, see the screen title says edit my diary items. I may change that because, edit my diary items. Yeah, which diary item do we want to edit? Okay. We want to take a look at the one for Zippy Zebra and Ann Apprentice. That was the one that we looked at before on this screen. See, Zippy Zebra, Ann Apprentice. So we're going to come over here, and we're going to select that row, and we're going to click on Open Item. Here is the data entry screen for the item for my file number 24073. And you can see we worked on it before because we put the date on there, put my name on it, and that looks to me like the gobbledygook that I wrote when I was on it last time. In fact, I recognize that. I'm certain that's the gobbledygook that I entered before. Okay, so that tells us we got on the right one. And we've discussed the contents of this screen before, so I'm not going to spend any more time on that. I'll just go ahead and close that one and move on to something else. We've got another item in the list that is for my file number 23473. Oh. No, let's not work on that yet. Let's mark this one complete, that we're done with that. And watch what happens when I click on Done for that particular row. It went away. Where'd it go? Well, if we look down here at the selection criteria for the data grid, we're looking at the Not Done list. Let's just change that to the Done list and leave everything else the same. We're still looking at Superman's diary items, and we're looking at the entire month of May. I'm going to click on Refresh, and here it is. Here are the rows for the Done list because I selected the Done radio button. And we can see that the diary item for that has an action of trial notice to insured is now moved to the Done list, and that the Done checkbox is checked. Let's go take a look at this other diary item. Let me see here. Let's take a look at diary item for 24075. I'm having to check my notes to make sure I get on the right thing so I can show you what it is that I'm trying to illustrate. And we're going to open that diary item. I'm going to move that screen up just a little bit first. We're going to open that diary item by clicking on the Open Item button down here. You can see where my mouse pointer is moving around. And I'll click on that. And this diary item opens. Now, what is this diary item about? We've talked about the contents of these fields up here, so I'm going to skip past them and just get down here to the action. And it says, did attorney respond to letter, fax, or email? This indicates that we sent some kind of a message to another attorney, either by letter, fax, or email, and that we are expecting a response. It says here, all attorneys must have email address to practice law these days. No kidding. Okay. So that illustrates what the narrative field is for. But I'm trying to show you here that you can have different kinds of actions. In this case, we sent some kind of a message, a correspondence piece to an opposing attorney, and we expect a response. And we expect a response by May the 22nd, 5 p.m. If we haven't received a response by that date, we want to call that guy and, just kind of bump him and see what's going on so that we can go forward and make progress, possibly arrive at some kind of a compromise in the completion of this lawsuit. And that's what I wanted to show you on this particular screen. And, oh, by the way, you can see the Done box is checked on this screen because it's done. We know it's done because we checked it up here when we were on that other screen. We can check the checkbox Done. I'm going to close that screen by clicking Cancel because I didn't really want to change anything on that. So we're done with that guy. We closed that one out. Let's close this My Diary item screen and go take a look at something else. Exit the screen. Okay. Now, where did all those action codes come from? I'm going to show you. We're going to click on Tools on the main menu. Again, this is the same menu where we clicked on Data the last time. We're going to come over here 1, 2, 3, 4 more rows, and we see the Tools menu choice. We're going to click on it, and if we come down 2 lines, we see where it says Edit Diary Actions. I'm going to click on that, and you can see that we get a list of different diary actions. If we look in just to the lower right hand corner of the data grid, we can see that there's 73 actions in here. Now that's quite a few. I'm showing you this to indicate that you can create your own diary actions that are peculiar to your specific law practice, the way you practice law, the choice of words that you use to represent different tasks that have to be completed. You can make these up yourself that fit the way that you do business. Computer software models the activity that it automates, and I've written the software that to the extent possible you can get this software to model the way you practice law and not the way somebody else practices law. Okay, and we can see that we have all these different action codes and a description of what the action is. The code is much shorter than the actual description because we use those in the data grids on places like the My File screen. If we put the full description there, it would be too long and it would just take up too much space, and we don't want to cultivate that habit. So we're going to come back here, edit diary actions. Let's look at this diary action right here. Did Donald Duck send $250 fee for Roadrunner? Now, I really don't know who Donald Duck is. I don't know who Roadrunner is, and I don't know why Donald Duck wanted to send a fee to Roadrunner for $250. But apparently that was important to someone, and they put it in here. This emphasizes the fact that you can make up your own. It also emphasizes the fact, and here's something that I forgot to change before I did the demo, and I'm going to change it right now to show you that I can do that. I'm going to fix what I didn't fix and should have before. I'm going to save that, and you can see now that the activity code is yes. Okay. What it is I wanted to show you here is that we can edit this. And we do that by selecting the row that we want to edit, which I have done. Click the edit button. And that enables two fields on the screen. There's only two things that can be edited here. One is the active state. Is it active or is it not active? It's active if it's checked. If it's not checked, it's not active. And we can edit the name. Right here we have 3 asterisks on the end of this, and I'm going to change those to 3 percent signs. And then I'm going to save that. Now when I save that, you can look up here on this row and see that I've changed the percent signs, but now, oops, I forgot to change it from active to inactive. So I got to edit it again. And we come back here, and I'm going to uncheck active, and I save it. And you can now see that the active flag was changed from yes to no. Why is this important? It's important because I believe I've stated earlier, and if I haven't, I'm going to do it now. Once you've entered, there are no deletes in the AutoSubrogate program. No deletes. Once you put something like this in the program, it's there for the life of the program. And that can be a very long time. You may even move on to a different company. That diary action is still going to be there. But things change, and from time to time you may decide that a particular action code for diary items is no longer valid for your law practice, and you don't want to have to deal with that one anymore. And when that time comes, you can accomplish that by changing the active flag from yes to no, so that when you pick up a drop-down list, and we're just going to pick up a drop-down list on a diary action, was suit filed. We're going to edit that. See, it says here, was suit filed. Here's a list of all these things. All the actions. The Donald Duck $250 to Roadrunner, I can guarantee you is not in this list. And the reason it's not in this list is because it's not active. Okay? That's what the active flag is for, to decide whether or not you want that action code to appear in a list. And if it doesn't appear in the list, then you can't assign it to a particular diary item. It gives you control over that. You don't need to call me and ask me to change that for you. You can change that for yourself.
Thank you for watching my video. If there's some functionality that you need because it's critical to your law practice and you didn't see it in AutoSubrogate, please give me a phone call so we can discuss it. I'm very flexible. The low cost to add that functionality will surprise you.